It is the next day. I left this to dry overnight and I just took it out of the clamps. And now I'm getting ready to trim it down to its final width. Here's where you want to make sure that your table saw is cutting exactly at 90 degrees. The best way to do that is to make that first cut, and then you can stand the fence or inner fence up on a flat surface and use an accurate square to check to make sure that this face is 90 degrees to the table, and then make adjustments to your table saw as needed to get it to that exactly perfect 90 degrees. It's very important. Now I can go ahead and readjust the fence and make the second cut on the other side to clean that up. And then at the miter saw, I'm just going to trim a very small amount off the ends. I've got a little bit of squeeze out there. I've got a little bit of a mismatch that I can improve upon. All right, back to the drawings. I need to cut this slot that goes across here into this area of the inner fence. And that's for the outer fence. And I'm going to mark that out and then cut it on the router table using a 5/16 inch bit. I'm going to be doing it just a bit at a time. This wood is hard and my bit is not the sharpest, so I don't want to stress it too much. I'm not in any hurry here. This slot is important, so I want to get it done right. The way I'm doing this is that I've got start and stop points marked on the inner fence, and those will line up with the edges of each wing on the fence on my router table that I've adjusted inwards. Okay, so that's a good looking slot right there, nice and clean and exactly the right size and in exactly the right place. I've got one other machining operation to do on this part, and that's to drill a counter bore on the top and on the bottom and a 1/4 inch through hole all the way through, and that's 2 inches from the end. Then I'm going to drill the 3/4 inch counter bore on the top and the bottom, a 1/4 inch deep. And because the tip on that Forstner bit that I use is a little bit big, I'm going to use my step drill to center the hole and then drill in so far that a 1/4 inch bit will fit right in there, rather than trying to line up the 1/4 inch bit by eye. That's it for the inner fence. It's complete, everything's done. I will sand off these pencil marks that I made on here just to clean it up a bit before I put on a coat of finish. Now getting back to the base again, I put 2 coats of water-based polyurethane on the top and on the bottom. Putting it on the bottom is important. You want to get your finish even on both sides. If it's very important, as it is in this case, to keep the thing as flat as possible. I also put 2 coats on the insert, and in doing so, it kind of tightened up in the hole because some of the finish got around the edge. And I'm just taking my sandpaper and I'm rubbing that off a little bit. How tight does this need to be? It needs to be very snug. There can't be any play here. It has to be like, it has to fit in there so that it seems like you can't even turn it. But then the levers you'll get with this will actually turn it. And of course it will loosen up slightly over time. It's not the kind of thing that's going to wear out though, but it does have to be tight. While the urethane is drying on the fence, I can get some other parts done. This is the outer fence, of course, and what you want to do, whatever it's made from, plywood or solid wood, you want to sight along it and make sure that you put the cup side in so that when it goes up tight against the inner fence, it'll be bowed outwards, if anything, and then the bolt will pull it in tight. So I'm looking at this. This is very straight, but it's got a slight bow out this way. This is the side I'll be putting the bolt in from. This is the side that I want to drill the counterbore in for the bolt. So once again, that's 3/4 of an inch, but this time I'm only going in about 3/16 of an inch. That's the thickness of the head of the carriage bolt. Also, once again, I'm going to be using this step drill trick to line up the center hole for the 1/4 inch bit. I also cut out the parts for the fence lock. Now this can be in one piece and cut out in that step shape, or it can be 2 pieces like I've done with plywood here, 1/4 inch. And I actually cut these out with hole saws. I've got a 2 1/4 inch one that gives me a hole that's close to 2 inches, and I've got a 1 1/8 or 1 1/4 that gives me this smaller one. It gives me a step on the inside that's very close to a 1/2 inch. Now to glue these together, I've got the one from the prototype actually. I'm just going to stick that bolt up through the hole. I'm going to get a little bit of glue on the smaller one, slide it down so that it's on top of the other one, and then tighten it together with a washer and a nut.